Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and this is going to be a broadcast that explores the fact that this is a global agenda that we are seeing taking place right now in the form of a one world driving force towards what? Not only central bank digital currencies, getting rid of cash and private transactions, but also private ownership and getting you more and more reliant on what is their next step after this bio-nano era. They want to bring in a virtual age. So the metaverse is going to be absolutely instrumental in that. And we're going to show you the World Economic Forum explaining how you're not going to need the haptic feedback suit. We already have the technology where magnetic waves press and put pressure against you. No controllers are going to be necessary. And one of the reasons we constantly play Dennis Bushnell is he talks about 5 cents VR already being commercially available in 2018, brought to us by the Brits and their programs, much like we have DARPA, right? All the way back in 2010 at the Blue Tech Forum. Now, the birth of virtual reality, you can look this up, but the military had certain devices, and there were even public devices, all the way back in the 60s. All right, the side-by-side technology had already been discovered and disrupted. And now, the story we're going to focus on in the beginning is the fact that Israel, has now banned cash transactions exceeding 6,000 NIS. Now, I don't know. I think it's shrekis or what they're called on their. I know people call it shekels. Again, this is going to be selectively enforced. Of course, they say this is to what? Get rid of organized crime and go after people? No, it's to move cash out of the picture as they implode global economies. And one of the reasons I wanted to focus on Israel in particular is because Israel, during the lockdowns and really all of the COVID-19 84 nightmares, had some of the most stringent rules and passports. You better believe it. All right? And they've just partnered, if you check this out, this is the right here, with the United States with a new tech partnership. But really, there's been this Anglo-American Israeli alliance for some time, Saudi Arabia often involved. And there was just investing in the metaverse, startups in inventing a new world, and it was a virtual forum. And one of the really interesting things about this is it was held in San Francisco, New York, London, and Jerusalem. All right? Goldman Sachs is behind this. The World Economic Forum is behind this. They love it. They can't get enough of it. This is the total and complete agenda, defining and building the metaverse. And it locks right in with the green agenda, all right, and this net zero carbon agenda and the digital currency agenda, all of it together in one big ball of digital hell, in my opinion. Moving from theory to practice. Davos, the United Nations, the Israelis, the United States. You think this inflation is by accident? Come on now. Metaverse governance, generating economic and societal value. And remember, stakeholder capitalism, social credit scores. China's just the model. They want to bring this in globally. It's just like, look, I'm no Putin guy, but I don't think this is really that battle. I think there's a vision for a new world order amongst all the world powers. You look at the Belt and Road Initiative, for instance. That's going forward. All of this is moving forward. And I wanted to talk about, again, not only these tech partnerships, but how we're already seeing the Bank of Israel, Hong Kong, Senbank, testing retail central bank digital currencies, blockchain currencies. They're talking about resetting the economy and talk about the ultimate track trace database. And these aren't the type of digital currencies that could have any type of intrinsic value because they are based on what the special drawing rights of the IMF are, infinite ones and zeros on your behavior, on your carbon emissions. World Economic Forum, when it comes to CBDCs, we need public-private cooperation. We need techno-fascism. We already have techno-fascism, but we need it on the next level. Oh, wait till you see these videos that we're going to play. And by the way, we're going to take questions and comments. And before we go any further, there's a couple other articles that I want to hit here. The way you're going to be able to skip the line is the Buy Me Coffee link is above me now, and now it is also below me. And I believe that in real time you can actually, because we're totally demonetized on YouTube, you can put in a Buy Me a Coffee, and that will give you a super chat mechanism. And we're also going to be checking Rockfin, which is another alternative platform that we're currently on that you can tip on. So that's a great way to support the broadcast and go to the front of the line. We're also going to be pretty backed up by the time we get to the questions and comments. I just want to throw that out there. So that's why when they tell you you will own nothing and you will be happy, they say it unabashedly. As Forbes, right around the same time, by the way, this agenda is just steamrolling. This was in mid-June. The day of personal car ownership could be numbered. And this article right here in mid-June, steamrolling every part of the agenda. So central bank digital currencies, you own nothing, stakeholder capitalism, techno-fascism on the way to a transhumanist nightmare that they want to end in this quote-unquote virtual age. And they're going to soften you up using the metaverse and their technology. So the World Economic Forum calls to reduce private vehicles by eliminating ownership. Again, private ownership of cars is going away. We're shutting down the grids. This is it. All right? And if you don't think that this is the same agenda with the World Health Organization now just saying there's new science and you can be non-binary again, that's zeros and ones, dehumanizing you, letting you can believe anything, that's part of the transhuman metaverse agenda. Believe it. It's reality. It's what's going down. It's peace for health and health for peace. This is their new program. Look at this thing. You couldn't be more Orwellian. You couldn't be more Nazi-like. Department of Hygiene, anyone? And then you literally have this Mother Earth type character that has a mustache on it, okay? That you see the recycling symbol down below, that you see the windmills down below, that you see the leaf down below. Health for peace and health, peace for health, all based on climate propaganda. In fact, when we get over here, and we're going to start playing these videos, there's 3 I want to play. I'm going to play the WEF explaining this metaverse technology and how you're not even going to have the haptic suit. But this is one of their 3-part propaganda pieces. And if you notice right away, they're talking about green steel, meeting climate goals, net zero carbon. And that's why we continually talk about these things. We're also going to play you the beginning clip and then maybe scroll through a little bit, Earth 2100, because again, they lay it out for you that this is about us human beings being bad and destroying the entire environment if we don't do something, and that's submit. And you watch the beginning of that thing and you're just like, wow, I can't believe they put this on television. Wow, I can't believe all the players that are in it. From Anthony Fauci to Eric Schmidt to Van Jones to James Woolsey of the CIA. People we feature here because they are minions of the predator class. And then we're going to take it all the way back to Gaia theory. You know, this Malthusian idea from James Lovelock and an interview he did in 2009 when I believe the guy was 90 years old talking about privatized space and Richard Branson and working for NASA, right? And basically telling you there's no way out of it. We need we're going to have a population of 1 billion within this generation, within this 100 years. Just wow. So like I said, thumbs it up, subscribe, share. We're going to get to your questions and comments. I'm bringing in the end of this so we can get to the metaverse. But again, help meet those climate goals. See, we got to decarbonize. I assure you, the carbon they want to reduce is you. Here it is. So this VR device, let's get out of the way here. Let's do the me and a guest right up in here. Look at it. Wow. It lets you feel the metaverse with your bare hands. Oh, you're going to feel the metaverse with your bare hands. Lovely. You place the device flat on the table. See, this is the portable one. Can you imagine what the military has? Ultrasonic force field up in the air, creating a sensation of physical touch on your skin. Lets you play and interact without gloves or controllers, and feels effects such as high fives and fist bumps. This is wave 1 in part of a new VR sector called haptics. It's adding touch to the VR experience. Mid-air force fields, folks. The stuff of science fiction is no more. And the MetaQuest 2 supports this. So I can buy this. Maybe I need to buy this to find out how crazy it is. Around the world, the use your VR is increasing, and they want it to. Sweden is using VR to train postal workers as they bring in more and more automation, by the way. All right? See what we got here? The World Economic Forum Technology Pioneer of 2022. Who would you connect with in VR? The push is here. So get ready, because this was part of a propaganda piece put out by ABC where they took real news footage, cartoons, all right, and the story of this girl who lives through this 100 years. She's born in the very beginning of the 21st century, and boy, we mess up the planet. And somehow, in the first 30 seconds, they predict, well, that we'll all be wearing blue masks.
In my life, I've seen New York City under full quarantine, the Midwest overrun, devastated by pests, plague sweep across California. And then, what happened next was something none of us saw coming. It became a race against time to save our future, to even have a future. It's the year 2100, and I survived.
I survived. And throughout this thing, it's a terror, horror piece about how climate change is going to bring on new diseases and economic destruction, and how you're going to have less and less of a standard of living as automation comes in. You can't make this up. I mean, you look at this stuff. There's John Podesta. He's a great person. There's some, let's see, look, here it is. It's all ruined. We ruined it. We messed it up. Oh. And where are we in the very beginning right here? Where she's at, like 2053 or 2083, something like that. And the thing is, there's Van Jones. Bezos gave him what? And notice the messaging. We're just scrolling. I've done a whole watch along with the whole thing. There's the windmills that could save us, right? This isn't our future. Oh, too much gas movement. Don't worry, they'll have the refugee camps in this too. That's lovely. Oh, see, they're sold out of gas. Gas shortages, huh? Weird. There's Podesta again. He's a really good guy. We love John. Well, you know, Anthony Fauci's in this too. He's a much more down the line, but we love Fauci. He's one of our favorites here on the program, okay? So once again, the central bank digital currencies, the blockchain, the slavery, the metaverse, the green movement, it's all together. All together. So now let's watch. This is a pretty long interview, but I think it's really important that we watch it because it's like 9 minutes long, and the guy is just so cheery, even though he says, oh, it's going to be a horrible thing. It's going to be terrible, and we can't stop it. There's nothing we can do. Really? There's nothing we can do that the global population is going to be decimated to 1 billion people. Why do you think that is?
Hey. In other words, you're putting back in the earth what belongs there.
Even if the energy mix that you recommend can be pursued and can be developed, you say there's still a profound problem. And the profound problem is that there are too many people living on planet Earth. Would you say that you actually welcome the idea that over the next 100 years, the world's population, by one means or another, will be cut dramatically?
I'm afraid so. I think the word likely I would use is...
But my question was, do you welcome it?
Oh, no, of course I don't welcome it.
Because we currently have a population, of about getting on for 6.5 billion people on the
A
planet.
bit more than that already. I think it's about 6.8.
Is it? Well, and I know the projections are that it's going to go up to 9 billion by the sort of halfway point in the 21st century. So what do you think is a viable figure that Gaia, that the planet can sustain?
I would guess, living the way we do, not more than 1 billion, probably less. It's largely a matter of
You
how
say that
you
with
live.
equanimity, but that's postulating the most dramatic and terrible and unimaginable sort of cull of the human species.
You gotta love that. That's a real question. And you don't really hear that kind of frankness, especially at the BBC, and especially now when people are talking about population control. You know? So again, metaverse, full control, carbon reduction, transhumanism, all in the same realm, all the same agenda. They're moving forward and forward. And again, the global model loves what Israel did during COVID 1984.
Well, I'm stick by it. I think it will happen. I think it's very probable.
What time frame?
It'll take almost a miracle to stop it happening this century.
This century? I'm trying to get my head around that possibility. It seems to me if that's to be the case, such is going to be the level of misery and panic across the world that there are bound to be the most cataclysmic conflicts, wars, struggles, simply for survival.
Well, again, whenever events like that come along, when there's huge floods, famines, there's a certain amount of struggling, but there's also an awful lot of good comes from it.
An awful lot of good comes from it. Look, as far as we know, there has never been a time in human civilization where billions of people are being wiped out in a short amount of time. Let me repeat that. There is no time in human civilization where billions of people are being wiped out in a rapid pace. So for him, again, to sit here and postulate and actually say, well, by comparison, some of the old floods and famines, all that, there was some good that came out of that.
When confronted like that, ordinary people show extraordinary heroism and helpfulness towards others, as well as being looters and vandals and so on. It's just a thoroughly disturbing thing, and it will happen.
I just wonder, because you have a very, very high reputation for creative thinking. And here you sit saying, we are facing doom. We are facing the possibility of 5/6 of our human population being wiped out within a century. Do you bring any ideas to the table as to what we should be doing now to prevent that? Because you say you don't welcome it.
We can't prevent it, but
we can't prevent it. Think about that. So they're going to go in with all these things, and a guy like Lovelock that is like behind these theories, and NASA's huge on the climate change. They love it. They can't get enough of it because it's a mode of control. The psyop is that somehow we're bad for the planet, and then you see, the minions of the elitists, if you will, the predator class, beachfront property everywhere. That's how worried they are about those rising sea levels and those heat waves.
can try to adapt to it and prepare ourselves to live in a much diminished world.
A diminished world. Again, these are things that Bushnell talks about: sustainability, standard of living going down. He says lower the bridge. In other words, genomically alter the human species. What?
And that is where all of our energies should now be going. And the more time we waste on things like wasteful, silly ideas like renewable energy, the worse things will be in the end.
So what do you mean by learning to live in a diminished world? What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, obviously for Britain, already immigrants are coming in from the hotter parts of the world. We've got to prepare a proper place for them to come to. We can't just let them go into ghastly camps, bidonvilles, or into the ghettos in cities. We've got to handle this as a political problem properly and prepare for it.
You see, isn't there a contradiction here? Because you're very concerned about overpopulation, and you believe demographics are a huge problem, and yet you're saying that a country like Britain should be preparing to take a whole lot more people, new immigrants. Surely, in essence, if you're respecting Gaia and you're respecting the notion of sustainability, you have to say, I'm sorry, but this particular patch of our planet can't take more people.
You see, these people are walking contradictions. It's just like he tells you that renewables aren't the thing. And listen, that technology is real, but at the same time, they have better technology. They don't want to empower us with that technology. They don't want energy that is either free or massively cheap. That's not something these people want. Do you understand? They want to keep the technology for themselves. And when I say they, it is the military-industrial complex, once again, that Eisenhower warned us about. Period.
You're absolutely right, Stephen, and that's one of the agonizing problems that's going to face us in the not-too-distant future. I see it's a bit like a lifeboat, and there comes a point when the crew of the lifeboat have to say, look, we can't take any more. If we take any more, we'll sink. And quite literally, we will sink in the sense that we won't have enough food to feed the people that come in. And that point I don't think has yet been reached. And I'm talking about now when I say we've got to prepare. And that alone is enough to do.
What you are preparing to do is something even more dramatic. You're preparing to make a mission into space.
Oh, that's sheer pleasure.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, first of all,
And, you know, we're going to play this part because, once again, his association with NASA, you know, Branson, you know, we highlighted on this program, the Oxcart program recently, that had just 60,000 feet up in the air. And that's no different than what Bezos and Musk are doing now. That was in the 60s. All right? That's the Hollywood show. The real stuff is ultra classified.
Forgive me for saying you're 90 years old. Yeah. And you have signed up with Richard Branson to be a passenger on one of his first, if it ever happens, and he says it will, one of his first civilian space flights.
It was a gift from Richard. It was an upgrade. I didn't sign up.
One heck of an upgrade. How many miles did you have to have for that?
60 miles.
But let's be serious about it, because I just wonder what's motivating you. You say you want, before you die, to get that view of the whole planet from space.
I'd love to.
Why?
Well, you see, a long time ago, in 1965, I was working at the Jet Propulsion Labs, which was one of NASA's facilities in America, very soon after NASA had started, and on the problem of life on other planets and things. And that set me thinking about this planet and led me to Gaia thinking that it's a remarkable and self-regulating planet. And it was the view from space through instruments that helped me come to that conclusion. And I was also deeply impressed by those iconic images the astronauts sent back of the Earth as seen from space, particularly that one from the moon.
So we're just going to leave it there. You know, this is a guy that worked in the Jet Propulsion Labs. I don't know if he's a true believer or not, but it seems like these people are very much into eugenics and that way of thinking. All right. Get your questions and comments in. Once again, you want to skip the line, Rockfin, and the Buy Me a Coffee link. Let's go. In fact, why don't we go here as well? Let me see if we can bring this one up, and bam! Look at that. Look at that, folks. We're right in there. Sweaty Zombie, hello. And by the way, we do need you to thumbs up, subscribe, and share because, yeah, we have 70,000 subscribers almost. It's taken 2 years to go from 60 to almost 68,000. It's almost impossible to grow on this channel. People tell me they're unsubscribed all the time. They don't get the notifications. We barely have 1/1000th of the people that are actually watching. We already got somebody, Elvis Oswald. Thank you so much. These guys really take the triumph of the will seriously. Look, you want to talk Uber mention? They ain't kidding around. They ain't kidding around. The idea that Google works, again, with NASA on quantum AI, number one, that they do that. And then they also have a division for immortality headed up by one of the biggest transhumanists out there and futurists out there, Ray Kurzweil, for over a decade, while they have the number one search engine in the world, Google, while they have the number two search engine in the world, YouTube, the number one video platform in the world, YouTube, the number one operating system, Android. Come on. Give me a break with your... And they're actively censoring globally. It's so much harder now to find raw source information. Oh, that's why we got the alt platforms, by the way, guys. That's why we are on things like Rumble right now, why we're on Rockfin. And really, again, I want to say I couldn't do it without you. So make sure, you're giving me a follow there. And Rockfin, let's check it. Have we hit the 60,000 mark? There's a couple exclusives over there on Rockfin lately. Yes, we are over 60,000 strong. Probably won't be long until we get past YouTube. But yeah, the No Holds Barred Epstein info, that's a 40-minute interview I did with Mel K, and then the entire An Australian Voice of Freedom video also there. Definitely worth checking out. They are free, of course, as all of my work is given away, and I want you to share it with others. Okay, let's continue down the line. Neo-feudalistic fascists globally enforce the noose has been tightening at a faster pace lately. Correct. I remember back way when AJ was still on YouTube, he had around 250,000 subscribers, and his channel was growing so rapidly they were knocking off 10K subs here and there every few days. And I just did watch Alex's War. I was actually surprised, by the way, about how positive it really was towards Alex. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't have those moments where they certainly challenged his narrative, but it was a really good watch, pretty dense. It's a little over 2 hours long, but then if you're going into an old, almost 30-year career and you're doing a biopic, it was rather excellent. We'll see where it goes from here. I don't think that it's going to sway many of his enemies, however. I might be wrong. Before I get back to your questions and comments, I did want to say this about Nancy Pelosi. There are a couple stories out there. Number one, China says it will shoot Pelosi's plane down if she travels to Taiwan under U.S. fighter escort. Speaker refuses to confirm trip as Beijing warns it would cross a red line. All I'm saying is a lot of folks, not myself, and that's real. I don't want to see any type of conflicts, and this could set one off, would say, don't threaten us with a good time, hashtag just saying. And then a lot of people recently have been showing this 2-minute clip of Nancy Pelosi giving Zombie J, a.k.a. Joe Biden, a run for his money for slurred dementia speak. Well, that happened on November 4th, 2021, so it is an older video, about 8 months old. I might do a watch-along with the whole thing. She babbles in this one a lot. She doesn't look like she's with it. It's a lot of Build Back Better, COVID 1984 nonsense, but I'd be scared to play it here on YouTube. But we may do a watch along with that as well. All right, let's go back to your questions and comments. Again, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Couldn't do it without you guys. Okay, so we did that one. Cynthia McKinney, is that you? Unfortunately, all platforms also serve the purpose of balkanizing a particular population. Microphone dude. What about microphone? Microphone checka? Is there something wrong with my mic? God, I hope not. I've been going for a while. Let's see. That's simply the divide and rule tactic being carried out in social media. If that is Cynthia, it is great to see her. I'd love to get her on the program soon, to be quite honest. She's a great guest. She's somebody who was inside the belly of the beast and did a great job trying to fight that beast. And she was demonized back then. A woman of color. A Democratic congresswoman, by the way, that stood up to the Bush administration, that stood up to Donald Rumsfeld. And they demonized her. Yes, Sweaty Zombie, that is you on mute. OMG, Cynthia McKinney. She's a great one. Bio Nano. Keep seeking truth. This is the Mark of the Beast system. Berm, baby, Berm. Disco Inferno. Israel has a population of 10 million, and they are mostly easily to control citizens. Well, we've seen a lot of first world nations that are supposedly free and have a free press, like Israel and Australia and Canada, go with some pretty big authoritarian measures that were suggested by the United Nations and the World Health Organization. And now we have health for peace and peace for health. Lovely. Lovely. Let's see. Oh, that's a big, 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 big jump. It's a huge jump right there. Let's see. What do we got going on here? Hello to all. I'm a Bermer too. Well, I'm glad you're watching. We love you. Alt platforming is growing very fast. We're doing our best, but you have to use the tools that you are giving. Weird digital utopia. So sick of seeing companies bragging about going green. I'm like, no, don't do it. No kidding. We require carbon. It is part of the cycle of the planet. Correct. You are correct. Oh, yeah. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share, everybody. I know, right? The right to learn about the damned carbon lifestyle in the second grade. No kidding. These technocrats are worse than Nazis. It's a technopoly. I don't even consider them really technocrats. Cynthia is fire. I love you. Zero carbon equals zero people. Correct. They want to terraform our planet into a barren, dead wasteland. No carbon allowed. Let's see. Hi, Shonda Anthony. Yes, that's Sweaty Zombie. It must. But we must also be cognizant of the fact that we are purposely being divided. Yes, we are. Can't agree more. They want to get it done by 2030. Thus, the imperative to develop strategies of unity for our own liberation, organization, cooperation with groups less like us, and in doing so, a new way of being, a new common sense, a new normal that is our normal, not theirs. And that's why, I got attacked yesterday by, a certain individual who unfortunately has always really seemed unhappy in his own personal life and very self-righteous and always critical of others and what they're doing to try to bring eyeballs to issues such as 9/11 truth and the very real New World Order, the very real Great Reset agenda that is before us today. Okay? And I get flack for doing the Alex Jones show. Yet on the Alex Jones show yesterday, doing the 4th hour, I got a totally uncensored opportunity to talk about the Bohemian Grove, the military-industrial complex, the Franklin scandal, the Manhattan Project, and beyond. And hopefully lead people to Annie Jacobson and her work. No one told me what to talk about at all. I'm going to speak at Clay Clark's event. Okay? I would love some people on the other side of the spectrum, like they used to, like Code Pink used to get at me and let me do a presentation. Because I'm not about left or right, baby. I'm about right and wrong. And I'm going to utilize the opportunities that are given to me to spread the truth. Don't think that's unreasonable at all. At all. Of course, their main tactic is to divide us, to stop humanity uniting against them. Labels shall not divide us. You, Bermas, are the solution and the future. Well, thank you. Well, it says Bermers. My Bermas brigade right here. My voice is in the crowd right now. We won't last to 2024, much less 2030. I disagree. We have to just non-compliance. We have to take back their modes of control, their systems of control. And right now, this inflation is just the calm before the storm. That's why we were talking about CBDCs. You understand? That's why we were talking about the metaverse. It's a big deal. That's why we're talking about Israel saying, no to $6,000 transactions. No more. Criminal. And again, it will be selectively enforced. You think if a high-level politician or arms dealer gets caught in one of those transactions, they're going to throw the book at him? No. They're going to go after the regular folks and their political enemies. That's what it means. Agenda 2030 means they are done by 2030, not starting then. The number of people against the reset. There's plenty of us. Wow, Bermers with a smile there. We like the smiles. We're about the good vibes. Cynthia, do you think of reconstructing communities by watersheds? Hey, from Bakersfield, conquest by agenda. Better than burners. Malthusian New Deals. You ain't kidding. And remember, Bushnell tells you that sustainability is a code word for a reduced standard of living, and productivity is a code word for the rise of robots and automation. Okay? And he tells you at the end of the day, evolution is over. Human beings, us, are taking control of evolution, and we will merge with the machines. They will become us, we will become them, and maybe we'll have some human-contaminated machines. I'm looking at months before it all goes into effect. Cut electricity, use military to go house by house to confiscate guns like in New Orleans. Let's hope that doesn't come to fruition. I like AG's term he recently coined, human supremacist. About to use the military on us. Will the soldiers fire on us is the question. Are they? Oh, come on now. Come on now. Military has the same can pin you to a wall and crush you. Okay, we'll just we got you, Jilly Love. I hear you. Social media on steroids, pure submission. The whole green agenda, net zero carbon neutral agenda, is totally illegitimate, and our sovereign governments are guilty of treason for signing up to it all. Correct. Thanks. I am not going to spend a penny on these new gadgets. Let's see what we got here. Zionism has always been evil. The original terror state, no surprise here. Well, let me say this. A lot of people focused on Joe Biden, again, saying that he was a proud Zionist. He said this in the past, but they didn't focus on that business deal, that tech partnership that we highlighted. They're not focusing on them moving to the Bank of Israel, going to the central bank digital currencies and pushing the metaverse agenda. And they're not the only ones. That is why the organization Oath Keepers was so important, but it fell off the rails. Please get off Facebook. WEF loves it. Is that not good enough of a reason? Well, that Jab 6 BS was used to round all opposition up. So the future state uniform is a mask while you were watching some Earth 2100. I was obsessed with this when it came out years ago, Earth 2100. Now I know I was being conditioned. Yes, we were all being conditioned. We were actually given the game plan, and it wasn't over 100 years. It was really over a 25 to 30-year span under the guise of that. Just like they planned 9/11, they were running drills for the very thing they said they never imagined would happen. Just an organization versus FBI, CIA, DOJ, etc. They never had a chance. NASA says it's getting reals. Guns are no more. They don't need them. Where is it? Let's see. Sorry about that. They can hit you with radiation by your DNA. Sorry for those who did Ancestry or other ones. Wouldn't even matter. It'd be pretty easy to get somebody's DNA if you really wanted it, whether they did that or not. Anthony Zappin said, do you see BMW achieved quantum supremacy on one of its car sensor algorithms using a new type of quantum computer? No, I did not. We've been focused on the noisy intermediate scale quantum computers in my PhD program, which are unreliable. This new entropy quantum computing is a breakthrough. The transhumanists need a viable quantum computer to achieve their goals. You know, some of them, for instance, D-Wave was using quantum annealing, which many people said wasn't a true quantum computer. This is a major breakthrough for transhumanists. Interesting. Let's see what we got. Dr. Death. That frog is definitely, oh boy. Alex Jones was right. Thumbs it up. Oh, pity. Alex was right about the guys that told him. They are behind it all. Those Brits love planet worship, but it was part of their school curriculum. Thank you, Jason. Your content is the best, most thoughtful. Ask the right questions and dig for the truth. That is Bermas style. Rippy for freedom. I appreciate that love. I do. I really, really do, folks. Again, thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. Support the broadcast if you can help out. The links are down below. And now it's right above us. Look at that. Hitler has hijacked the G7. Tell you what, there's a really interesting clip in the Alex's War documentary where he's out in front of the Olympic symbol, and he talks about how Hitler designed the Olympic symbol. That's something that we actually featured in Invisible Empire that was produced by Alex. Who's the guy being interviewed? Name that's James Lovelock. You can check that out. Paper currency always comes to an end. Floods, what floods? They put carbon figures over human life. Unless it's two-stage, can't say anything like that. Can't say nothing like that. According to the internet this morning, Israel, after receiving $40 billion in U.S. aid, is considering allying with Russia and China propaganda. Maybe, but they won't be on the losing end of World War III. Getting in the pods, do it for the environment. Yay! Yay! Reduce your carbon footprint. Man being interviewed has a book called The Coming Age of Hyperintelligence. Pure globalist. Free tick soup. These are very strange beings that have very strange ideas. They are very calculated and very contaminated. They're already putting bugs in Cheetos and cereal in Canada. Yummy. Yummy. Natural evolution is over. These people are devils. They are devils. Folks, I think that this is about it. I think we're about to wrap it up right now. Wrap it up and rip it out. Guys, thumbs it up. Subscribe. Share. Consider supporting the broadcast, but definitely follow me over at Rockfin, Podbean, and Rumble. Rockfin's $9.99 a month or $99.99 for the year. If you hit that subscribe button, you endorse me on a desktop, right? Then you get everybody else's content for free. It's a great way for you to check out marginalized voices that are speaking truth and whispered history. Because it's not about left or right. It's always about right and wrong. And we must become the great resistance to this very real great reset agenda that is pushing health for peace and peace for health. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.